Hi, James from NCC here. Welcome to Chapter 2, LAN Technologies for the CompTIA Network Plus. In this module, we'll be exploring the network devices operating on different OSI layers, primarily to keep the network operational. Layer 1 devices work at the very bottom of the OSI model, the physical layer. These devices don't interpret data or make decisions. Instead, they handle electrical signals, just encoding, decoding and boosting the signal. Repeaters are a great example of this. Simple, cheap and still very useful. Ever wondered how signals travel long distance without getting weak? Let's talk about repeaters. Now, a repeater is a simple layer 1 device that helps extend the range of your network. It works by listening for a signal, boosting it and then sending it along again. This helps overcome attenuation, the natural weakening of signals over distance. However, a repeater doesn't filter or clean the signal, it just amplifies everything, including noise. Advanced versions can regenerate the signal, providing a cleaner copy. Some repeaters can also filter to reduce that unwanted noise. Repeaters can often be used in CANs, VANs, or to connect buildings together, especially when Wi-Fi isn't reliable. They're basic but very useful in the right scenario. Next, let's talk about hubs. One of the simplest devices in networking. Now, a hub is a layer 1 device that connects multiple computers in a star layout but acts like a bus network behind the scenes. When a hub receives a signal from one port, it broadcasts that signal to all the other ports. It doesn't check addresses or manage traffic. It just sends everything everywhere. That simplicity has drawbacks. It can't prevent collisions, it only supports half-duplex communication, and it doesn't filter traffic or store data. Now, because of this, hubs mostly have been replaced by smarter devices, like switches. But understanding hubs is key for learning how networks evolved. A network tap is like a digital spyglass for your network. Instead of connecting an extra device directly to the network, a tap is installed to copy data passing through a cable and sending it to a monitoring tool. Now, there are two types of taps. A passive tap simply splits the cable and sends a copy of the signal elsewhere without affecting the network. An active tap uses power and sometimes a repeater to strengthen weak signal. Some even filter or process traffic. Taps are used in network security and troubleshooting, but be careful. They can also be used for unauthorized surveillance if not managed properly. Have you ever wondered what happens when two devices try to speak at the same time on a network? Now, in early networks, a network segment was simply a coaxial cable shared by multiple devices. This segment had a maximum length, limited by signal weakening called attenuation, and because all devices shared the same cable, only one device could talk at a time. Now, that's why this segment was called a collision domain. If two devices transmitted at the same time, their data would collide and get corrupted. But what happens when you add repeaters or hubs? The signal is still shared, meaning you're still in one big collision domain. Even though it looks like separate parts, it's still one space where data can crash. A collision domain is any part of a network where data from two devices can interfere with each other. To reduce collisions, we need smarter devices, which leads us to a layer 2. Why can't you just keep adding more hubs and cables to extend the network? Now, layer 2 devices like switches and bridges go beyond simply repeating signal. They can actually read Ethernet frames and decide where to send them. Unlike a hub, a layer 2 device doesn't just forward everything. It looks at the MAC address, learn who's where, and make smart choices about traffic flow. It stores this information in memory, delays frames if needed, and prevents collisions before they happen. Now, years ago, these devices were expensive. Today, even budget switches come with full layer 2 intelligence. Layer 2 devices make networks faster, smarter, more efficient. What if your network could learn who's connected where, all on its own? Now, a bridge is smarter than a repeater. It connects two or more segments and keeps track of MAC addresses using a MAC table. When it receives a frame, it records the sender's address and learns which port it's on. Then, if the destination is on a different segment, it forwards the frame. If it's on the same segment, it filters it out. If it doesn't know the destination, it floods the frame to all ports. This is called a learning bridge, and it builds its table over time. To keep it updated, it uses something called aging, removing inactive entries after a few minutes. It reduces unnecessary traffic, avoids collisions, and keeps your network flowing smoothly. How do you connect different network types, like Ethernet and Wi-Fi? Now, Translating Bridge connects different layer 2 technologies. For example, if you connect an Ethernet LAN to a Wi-Fi network. This works because both technologies use similar frame formats, thanks to IEEE 802 standards. But there are challenges, like different frame sizes and speed limits. For example, token ring frames can be much larger than Ethernet. Now, a Translating Bridge must adjust the size and even split up larger frames to make them fit. Translating bridges allow interoperability between different network types, but they need to be careful about speed, size, and format differences. What's the difference between a switch and a bridge? A switch is essentially a multi-port bridge. Most people mean layer 2 switch when they just say switch. Each port can handle different speeds, auto-sense device type. They usually run a gigabit Ethernet or faster, making them essential for modern networks. Today, even small office switches are smarter than ever, supporting full duplex and managing traffic efficiently. Higher-end switches even work on layer 3, reading IP addresses to make smarter routing decisions. Because switches have replaced hubs in almost every modern LAN, making collisions a thing of the past. Can a single message slow down an entire network? In a switch network, each connection to a switch is its own collision domain. But when a device sends a broadcast, it goes to every device in the broadcast domain. That's where the problem begins. Too many broadcasts can overwhelm the network. Even multicast messages, which are sent to groups, are often treated like broadcasts. Now, broadcast domain is the area in which all devices receive broadcasts, and switches, bridges, even VLANs define the boundaries of that domain. The goal? Keep broadcast domain small and controlled. This leads us to smarter layer 3 devices. Why stop at a MAC address when you can think bigger? Layer 3 devices like routers and layer 3 switches go beyond MAC addresses. They use IP addresses to route traffic across networks. A big LAN can have billions of addresses. If you just relied on layer 2 switches, it would overload. That's why broadcast storms and looping traffic became real dangers in large networks. Layer 3 devices divide the network into manageable chunks called subnets. They learn and forward packets based on routing tables, not just frame address. Layer 3 devices organize, secure, streamline large networks by dividing traffic a more intelligent path. How does data travel from your home to a website across the globe? Now, routers sit at the edge of a broadcast domain. They use both physical and logical info, like IP address, to choose the best path or data. Think of them like a traffic director. They receive packets, check the routing table, and forward them toward their final destination. Even a simple home router often acts as switches, firewalls, or access points all in one. In bigger networks, routers must constantly learn about the best paths, exchanging info with other routers to avoid congestion or downtime. So next time you send an email or open a web page, thank a router for knowing exactly where it's going, getting it there fast. What happens when your network needs to talk to the outside world or to a completely different kind of network? That's where a gateway comes in. Now, the term gateway can mean different things depending on context. It might refer to a connection between different network layers, or it might describe a router that handles traffic between different networks. Now, technically, every device has a default gateway. That's the router it sends packets to when it doesn't know where else to go. But gateways can do much more than that. They connect networks using different protocols, like a TCP/IP network talking to an IPX or IPv6 network. They join networks using the same protocol but different addressing schemes, like private IPs in a home network connecting to the internet. They can even perform NAT, network address translation, which is essential for small office and home routers. In fact, your home Wi-Fi router is a residential gateway. It includes a switch, a firewall, Wi-Fi access point and more, all in one device. A gateway is the doorway out of your network. It knows how to find the path when your devices don't. Is it a switch or a router or maybe both? Originally, switches and routers had clear separate roles. Switches worked at layer 2, forwarding Ethernet frames quickly with lots of ports. Routers worked at layer 3, analyzing IP packets, making routing decisions and connecting networks. You'd use a switch for speed and a router for intelligence. But as networks evolved, so did the hardware. Routers became cheaper and faster, and switches became smarter, gaining the ability to partition networks, examine frames at higher layers, and support VLANs or virtual LANs that isolate broadcast domains inside a physical switch. Enter the multi-layer switch, also known as a layer 3 switch. It's a hybrid device that filters and forwards like a switch, routes like a router, and often combines both roles in one device. These devices might use application-specific integrated circuits instead of general-purpose CPUs, making them faster but less flexible than traditional routers. Now in practice, a layer 3 switch doesn't replace a full router. It's mostly used within large networks to manage internal routing, VLANs, and high-speed traffic between subnets. Think of it this way. Use a router for complex WAN routing, use a multi-layer switch for fast, efficient LAN segmentation. That's it for chapter 2. In the next chapter, we'll be looking at the physical connections from copper to optical and common Ethernet standards. Looking forward, seeing you in the next video.